Hello, my name is Ilona and today is Monday, April 3rd, 2023, and I just wanted to mention a few things. I saw something very, very sad. This was about a Japanese case that's now being put online, and this was about, I just have to try to find it. A fatal case of multi-organ inflammation following the third sting, so the booster, so to speak. And this was a 14-year-old Japanese girl that died 2 days after receiving it. This is now put online. I put it on my Telegram channel. So things like this are coming out, and it's awful that this has happened. And a lot of young people that actually received this have, maybe you've seen some in the news as well. I think I've read about some things here in the Netherlands as well. Young children, teenagers collapsing, heart problems. It's just horrible. This will come out more and more. Christina Anderson, she's a member of the European Parliament. She keeps asking the questions: how many deaths were, registered per doses administered? So she is asking questions for this special committee, and she's asking them, can you provide these numbers off the top of your head? I would have to conclude that if you cannot provide those numbers, you simply don't care, or you're still working for one of the lobby organizations of the biggest pharmaceutical companies in Europe. So she keeps putting pressure on people, asking, demanding questions. I'm very happy that she's continuing this. The Prime Minister Marin in Finland has lost the voting, so she will not continue. She was the one that was partying. There were photographic, I think, photos. Photographic evidence, I think that's called. But there were photos of her partying during the past 3 years, especially when the very strict regulation she put into action in Finland, and she was partying herself. So she's not going to continue. She will have to resign. One thing I also want to mention here in the Netherlands, which I am very happy about. This is a Dutch article, but I'm just going to try to translate it as well as I can. There is a scientific journalist, Arnoud Jaspers, and he's author of the book, The Nitrogen, I'm not sure how you can completely translate that. It's fuik in Dutch, and it means it's like the nitrogen trap. It's a term from the fishermen, fuik, and it's used for, I think it's called funnel, if I'm not mistaken. And they use it to trap fish. So he's talking about the nitrogen trap, so to speak. And he's mentioning that the regulations here in the Netherlands are just absurd low for nitrogen. And they even talk, this is on the Dutch media. This is on a program WNL on Sunday. So people actually watch this. And he's talking about that it's ridiculous that in Germany, the amount is much higher. In Denmark, it is even higher than that. So and these are European guidelines. So why is it different in the Netherlands? It's completely ridiculous. And he really, let's just say, mentions a lot of things that can be very interesting for the farmers here in the Netherlands. And I think it's just turning here. The tide is turning. So I thought that was very good to see that this is actually mentioned on the Dutch television, and that they're talking about this, and that they're talking about this book, because I think this book will also help farmers here to, start talking with the government. What's going on? Why is this so ridiculously low? And of course, I also mentioned about this letter that was sent by the European Commission that is going to be a bit ridiculous now, because why is it so different in Germany than here in the Netherlands? Why is it way higher in Germany and in Denmark than in the Netherlands? These are supposed to be the same European guidelines. So it's really absurd. And of course, I've mentioned this before, why so focused on the Netherlands, but it's also part in Belgium, and it all has to do with the tri-state area. I was actually trying to hint at that, but maybe I should have been more specific in my last video about this. That it's very specifically done because they want to create this tri-state area, and that's the Netherlands and part of Belgium. That's why these regulations are so low concerning nitrogen here in these parts in the Netherlands and part of Belgium. Not everywhere in Belgium. And like I've mentioned, not in parts in Germany or in Denmark. So it's interesting. Things are changing there. So I think that's good to see. The actually first card reading I want to look at is the energy in America, because we have a very interesting week ahead of us. Mr. T mentioned that he is going to leave Mar-a-Lago on Monday and will travel to New York. And then on Tuesday he will go to the courthouse to be processed. Processed with, I think, fingerprinting and a nice shot of himself. So it's going to be very interesting. And I just wanted to see, to me, this feels like part of the white hats. And interestingly enough, the cards I got the first card was the Queen of Cups. This is the energy of the United States. And we have the Three of Cups, which is something to celebrate as the central card. We have the Seven of Pentacles in the past. We have, again, the Knight of Wands. And I find this very interesting because I got this in my April month reading. It was jumping out, the Knight of Wands. So to me, this feels like this is an important month for the white hats. And this is a white hat operation. And then we have the Page of Swords and we have the Fool for the future, the near future. So to me, we don't have to worry about anything. I've mentioned this before. Others have mentioned this before. Mr. T is safe. But this will bring out other things. And I think this is ultimately something to celebrate, because this will be used later on for other former presidents. That's the feeling I'm getting. They really are putting things in place. And this is part of putting things in place. To me, I do understand that people are waiting for this big crash, or waiting for that scary event. I actually watched a video from Juan Osaven. I don't usually watch them. Usually he's very, how do you say this, meandering. He does have interesting things to say, but I don't have the patience to listen to that all the time. But I actually listened to a video yesterday. I came across something, and he was mentioning that the crash is probably going to happen in the fall. And it has to do with harvesting time. But I do feel that the big thing, that things are still being put in place. That doesn't mean that things are not going to change and truths are not going to come out. But people are so focused on that big crash that they're not seeing all the positive things that are already changing. It's already changing in the media. Things are, like I've mentioned here in the Netherlands, this critical look at nitrogen. It's very interesting because we are still having a government that, to me, they should just leave, especially after the voting that happened in March. They should just really pack up and leave. But we'll have to wait and see when that's going to happen. But this is going to be very interesting. This will give people, ammo to use against these government nitrogen regulation. And it's just completely ridiculous. So it's very interesting to see how this is going to unfold in the Netherlands, but just worldwide. And of course, I'm looking now at the United States of America. But it's all connected. And people are so focused on that big crash that they're not seeing all the things that are already changing. To me, this feels very positive. It wouldn't surprise me at all if it's really going to happen, everything in the fall. But we are already seeing so many things happening. And I am very hopeful. I fully trust that this is going to work out fine. And especially when I look at the United States now for the energies, this is a white hat operation. And I think it will just bring people together and it will be for the good ultimately. So what's happening now with Mr. T will actually be something later on to celebrate. I think information is going to come out as well. Maybe not necessarily this week, but will be used later on for creating different paths. Like the Fool, everything is open. So things that are now used for Mr. T can be used for other people. And this, what's happening now, can bring in so many different ways. Like the Fool is opening up everything. Everything is possible. And I think we are now in the energy that things are really starting to collapse. Maybe not the big crash everyone is waiting for, but we're going to see small crashes, and it's necessary. A new foundation needs to be built. And from there, we'll go, completely different direction, completely new way of thinking and a new energy. That's how I see things. So in America, I believe that this ultimately actually will be a good thing. I'm not worried about Mr. T at all. He also mentioned that on Tuesday evening he's going to have a speech at Mar-a-Lago, so he expects to be returned by then. So it's going to be very interesting these coming days, what's going to happen here. I'm sorry about that. I also looked at the coming week. What are the energies for the coming week? Well, we have the Three of Swords. Again, the Knight of Wands. Very active, the Knight of Wands. So, like I've mentioned before, this is going to be a very interesting month. I think a lot of things are going to change. A lot of things are going to be put in motion that may not completely seem like it's white hat, but it ultimately later on will prove that it's the white hats putting this all in motion. So I think this week is going to be very important in giving people things. Things are going to come out. More information is going to come out so people can heal. This is really about old pains, the corruption, the hurt. It needs to come out. People need to see it. So that's really what this week is about. And we are, of course, heading towards Easter. There are also many things concerning Easter. I don't see, to be very honest, like I've mentioned before in this video, I have watched the video of Juan Osaven, and I do believe that it wouldn't surprise me at all if the real big crash and scare event might going to happen in fall. That doesn't mean things are not happening now. I see so many things happening, and I feel we're really heading towards the right direction. But too many people are focused on all these big things. But I think this April is going to be a very, very interesting month. And also just popped in my head, at the end of April, I had the Pentacles, Seven of Pentacles, which means still some patience is needed. I know a lot of people are focused around Easter, the rising, of course, Jesus coming back to life, so to speak, with Easter, and it's very important to understand that a lot of dates are being brought out, and it's every year happening. I think it's very important, and I also want to mention the advice for this week. And the advice is the Two of Wands, the Four of Swords, and the Five of Cups. And these are quite passive cards. So just wait and see. Don't hold on to dates too much. Things are happening. It's event driven, not date driven. So maybe just sit back and take your time. If you feel tired, if the energies maybe, your body is still adapting to all the energies. Maybe old pain, disappointment can come up. It's very important to take your time and to not get involved too much with everything that's going on around you or happening in the world around you. Focus on yourself. Take time for yourself, especially with Easter when you're probably going to meet family. Take time for your family. Be grateful for what you have. And of course, everything that's happening, of course, with Easter, the entire symbolic meaning of that, and of course with Jesus. And it is a change. I do believe that April is a very important change in energies and change in transforming humanity, and that we're heading towards this beautiful new energy. I'd like to leave it at this and hope to see you in another video. Bye.